Welcome to Shelf Life, the monthly series at the One Stop Co-op Shop where I look at games I covered about 6 or 7 months ago and let you know whether they're still in my collection. A quick reminder that a link to next month's contest is in the video description, so go ahead and get your guesses in. But let's jump right to it and see which of these 7 games this month had Shelf Life. So first in our crowdfunding corner is Leviathan Wilds. This is a solo and cooperative game where you're climbing giant leviathans and trying to take them down, very much in the vein of Shadow of the Colossus, one of my favorite video games. And this one, sadly, was canceled before the crowdfunding campaign could finish because it wasn't doing as well as they wanted. But good news with this one, because I definitely would have backed this one. I think I was backing it. Good news is that they have retooled it and made the game even better. I'm going to get the chance to play it next week, and maybe I'll do some new coverage for the relaunch campaign. But yes, this one I totally would have backed if I could have. I think it is fabulous the way you're trying to dodge the enemies and cooperating with each other and climbing up and kind of traversing around. I think it's all a great system. So can't wait to see how they've made it even better. That's Leviathan Wilds, and that would have been a back for me if I could have. And the other crowdfunding game for this month is Snapship Tactics. This is a 1v1, or you can do more, and they also have a solo kind of AI mode, so you can play cooperative against it or solo. This is a tactical battle game, sort of think like X-Wing or something like that. And you have these gigantic Snapship minis that you actually put together, sort of Lego style. And that's one of the big pros for this one. It's very toy-like, and you can kind of swap in and out parts and kind of build the ships the way you want. Very fun. Would I have backed this on my own? I'm a little bit torn on that one. So I really like the system, and also my kids really enjoyed playing with the toys and building them. But at the same time, it's huge, and even though it takes up a ton of table space, because these ships are so big, you don't actually fit that many on the board. Whereas something like X-Wing or Silent Death or one of those kind of systems, you could have 3v3 or 4v4 dogfights. For this one, even going to 2v2 already makes it kind of straining your ability to fit it anywhere except on your floor. And then besides that, I didn't love kind of the pricing system. It seemed like while you could get the miniatures by themselves for not that much money, it seemed like they were charging a pretty hefty premium just to get the cards to use them in the game. So would I have backed it? I don't know. I'm kind of leaning no, but if they send me a review copy, I would absolutely love to play it. We'll see if that happens or not. I don't think we ever confirmed either way. And I know in either case, I already own a lot of the Snapship miniature sets, not counting the actual game components. So my kids really enjoy those. So I'll still continue getting those, I'm sure. So that was Snapship Tactics, and I'm leaning on a not back for this one. Then going away from the crowdfunding games, we've got the first one in retail, Vagrantsong. This is a campaign-based boss battler with solo and co-op play, where you're controlling these vagrants on a haunted train, trying to redeem these haints, these ghostly figures, and escape with your life. And this one was a bit of a miss for me, and my game group didn't love it either. I do think some of the mechanics are pretty cool. I think the way the haints work and how they activate in somewhat a consistent way is fun. I think the kind of theme and mood they're getting is great, and the way you have these little events that you can make happen randomly. But the structure of the campaign, where you just kind of go through a little set of different fights and it's a random order what you do with them, meant that the narrative didn't have much cohesion for me and didn't really go much of anywhere for a lot of it. And the big thing is I found the player turns incredibly boring, just taking these very basic actions, very random, not that exciting. You didn't get to use the cool powers you leveled up into as often as I would have liked. So yeah, this one had some flaws, at least for me. Not a boss battle I would recommend over much better options, I would say. Although, to be fair, it is way cheaper and actually easy to buy compared to something like Aeon Trespass or Oathsworn, so that's certainly a feather in its cap. But if you wanted a lighter boss battler, I'd probably recommend Townsfolk Tussle over this one. So Vagrantsong, definitely not a keeper for me. Next is Sniper Elite. This was designed by my friend David Thompson, and this is the rare David Thompson game that's also not a keeper for me. But let me explain that. I think the part that David designed, the multiplayer, works really great and is kind of a fun cat and mouse hidden movement game with one person trying to track them down. It's not necessarily my favorite. I prefer mind management a bit more over it, but it's really well done. The part that I think is not great is the it's David Turtsey and somebody else, people who designed the solo mode. I did not think it was good. It kind of broke many parts of the game. People just kind of guards teleport and stuff. And I just think while they made a system that technically functions, it kind of removed the heart of the hidden movement experience for me. So I didn't really enjoy it that much. And yeah, just for the multiplayer aspect, I think I have other hidden movement games I prefer more. So Sniper Elite, a bit of a disappointment for the solo mode specifically. Not one I would recommend there, and this is not a keeper for me. And our third retail game is Bullet, the Star set specifically, which is a standalone. If you haven't seen me cover Bullet before, this is a solo, cooperative, or competitive, and this is one of the rare games where all of those modes work great. Sort of like pattern creating movement token game, and it is absolutely fabulous. It's one of my favorite games of all time. It's in my top 10. And yeah, Bullet Star, I think, is in some ways better than Bullet Heart, the original set, and you can get either of them because it is standalone. I think the characters are a bit more complicated, but also a bit more interesting. Same thing for the bosses. Yeah, this one was a bit of a gimme in the contest for anybody who pays attention to the channel. I absolutely love Bullet. I love Bullet Star. I'm not like obsessed with getting everything. Like I didn't get the recent promo cat character. I don't feel like I need to have like every single thing released for the game, but certainly the big sets I'll continue to get for quite a while until I just feel like I have way too many characters. So yeah, Bullet Star, that is a keeper. And the fourth retail game is Paint the Roses, another one that probably a lot of people aren't too surprised by the result for. This is definitely a keeper. This has been a favorite cooperative deduction game. This is no solo, just co-op deduction, where you're placing these tiles on the board and trying to figure out like which tiles are where and what people's little cards are, like what pattern it's telling them to do. I love this one. My family loves this one. I expect it to stay around for a long time. At this point, I might say like co-op deduction games are among the favorite ones to play with my family, and this is certainly one of the best ones, along with like Letter Jam and a few others. So yeah, Paint the Roses, definitely a keeper. Strongly recommended. There is a deluxe set. I will say this. I don't recommend getting the deluxe set at all. I don't know if it's packaged together, but I don't recommend getting the expansion at all until you've played the game and definitely think you need a lot more. Because I think the game is wonderful in just the base, and the expansion just adds a ton of ways to like make the game way tougher and more complicated. And at least for my family, we don't need that. So love Paint the Roses, definitely a keeper, but I would say you don't really need the expansion probably. And the last game on the list for this month is Eila and Something Shiny. I'm realizing this list is kind of a bit more boring than most because it's probably pretty obvious which games I like and don't like. This was one of my absolute top games from last year. It's so hard to find. I wish it was like more in print. I wish they would do like a reprint campaign or something. It is so good. There's kind of like a choose your own adventure game with sort of the paleo-ish mechanic where you keep on going through decks, but they get modified and you don't know what order the cards will come out in. It's got a beautiful story told almost entirely through these really cute illustrations. This was one of mine and my family's absolute favorite games last year. But it is not a keeper because I played through the entire thing way more than I should have. Like, there's only 3 different endings, technically, I think. And I played through the game like 15 times between me and my family. And I would probably still just sit down and play through it again because I love the core gameplay mechanics. But yeah, eventually I did have to pass it on. So my friend has it now. And then hopefully they'll pass it on to somebody else when they get the chance to play so we can keep the Eila love going. But yes, absolutely recommended. If you can find a reasonable copy, which is basically impossible right now, sorry, then I would say get it if you like choose your own adventure or adventure games at all. But yeah, besides that, fabulous game, but not a keeper because I finished it. So there we are, 2 out of 5 release games kept and 1 out of 2 crowdfunding games that I would back myself. That's one of the best months we've had in a little while. But let's get to the contest results, see how well you all guessed and who our big winner is. So let's see how people guessed. Bullet Star got 77% saying I would keep it. That one was not surprising. Paint the Roses, the other one that was correct, got 53%. So a lot of people guessed correctly here. Eila and Something Shiny, 28% thought I would keep it. Sniper Elite, 24%. And the one that was least likely to be voted was Vagrantsong. Only 18% of people said I might keep that one. And that means we've got a ton of people who guessed correctly. Names in yellow are Patreon supporters. So they got entered twice. Names in red, Paul and Jack guessed correctly, but did not want to be entered in the contest. So I'm going to roll a D12 first to determine the row. If I roll a 12, I'll re-roll. And then a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on a D6 to determine the column. Let's have a D12 first, and it's an 8. And then the D6 is going to be a 1. So let's see. 8 and 1 is Richard. Kim, you are our big winner. Richard, I'll be emailing you to figure out which game you'd like for my collection. But to everybody who guessed correctly, thank you so much. Don't forget to get your guesses in for next month's contest. You can use the link in the video description. Good gaming, everyone, and I'll see you at the next stop.